Today, I have the honor to make an interview with Dennis from This Side of Anarchy. Thank you for your time, Dennis. It would be great if you could introduce yourself briefly to our listeners who don't know you yet.
Hello, Martina. It is me that should be thanking you for doing this. I really appreciate it. It's going to be an awesome interview, I know it. It's good to hear your voice finally. And thank you for all the help you've given me on social media. As you said, my name is Dennis. I'm from This Side of Anarchy. I've been playing guitar for around 40 years and have been in various bands from the first 20 years, and then the last 20 years I've kind of been doing it by myself, but only really seriously the last maybe 7 to 8 years. So I am a one-man band and I do everything myself. Mainly play guitar and bass. Drums that I use are actually pre-recorded professionally, and basically I tell software how to play the drums. I'm not set on being a one-man band. If I find people that like what I'm doing and we can get along together and write music together, I'm definitely ready to do that, and it'd be cool to do some shows sometime.
Let me first ask you, how has 2020 treated you so far? We are all going through a difficult time right now, so tell us how you handle it and what's the hardest part for you.
Yeah, 2020 has been okay so far. To date, I've released a single titled 12 Years, and I just released an EP titled In Satany, but I'm sure you're talking about the other difficult things going on. Luckily, my job has been okay, my family's jobs have been okay, and everything's pretty much been normal for us. I feel really bad for everybody else. The only problems we really had was at the beginning. It was so hard to get some food and essentials. And I've noticed now that a few things are not in the stores. Some common things we could always buy. And I think some of the vegetables and fruits and stuff that wasn't able to be preserved or put to market, we will not have until next year, hopefully. The hardest thing we had to go through was we were supposed to go visit my granddaughter and my newly born grandson in March, and that's when they started canceling everything, so we weren't able to go. So with any luck, in a few weeks, we'll get to visit them, unless anything else happens.
Growing up, have you always wanted to be a musician? And what's your earliest musical memory?
As far as I can remember, when I was really young, I had no inkling of being a musician, at least consciously. Probably when I became a teenager, I wanted to play the guitar. Then I kind of knew I wanted to do something with music. My parents did tell me that when I was 2, they gave me one of those play guitars, and I would sing the Beatles song "Yeah Yeah Yeah" while I was holding the guitar. I was too young to remember that. And also they told me I always stood by the gate going down to the basement and listening when my dad played music. So music was always in the house. And my earliest musical memory, I must have really liked music because I have a memory of trying to play my dad's record player, and I think I messed up the needle, and he was like really mad and yelled at me. And also, when I was in 6th grade, I played the saxophone for a while. I really don't know why. They just offered it in school, and for some reason, I chose the saxophone. I couldn't even begin to tell you why. And then later on is when I wanted to play the guitar. They were skeptical that I would quit that like I did saxophone, but 40 years later, I'm still at it. And my parents told me that a teacher told them that I had no musical rhythm or talent. So a lot of people tell me that I guess she was wrong.
If you were not a musician, what would you see yourself as otherwise? Is there something you would say, wow, yes, that's something I would like to do?
If I wasn't a musician, I don't think much would be any different. I would probably still have the same job I have now and have the same hobbies and everything I do. I just wouldn't be doing music. I would have one less thing to do. As it is now, I have to work in my music with all my other hobbies. And without music, I'd have more time to spend on them.
What were your main challenges in the beginning of your music career and how have they changed over the time?
Well, I imagine the challenges at the beginning of my career were pretty much the same as any other band. We have to learn to get along with other band members. As it has been said, you basically married to them. You have to keep traveling with them and deal with them. Luckily, my first band, we did mainly covers, and we all got along pretty good and wrote music together pretty good. We mainly did cover material, and we had 4 or 5 of our own songs. It was a pretty good thing. I think because it was kind of in the middle of the country where there's a lot of cornfields and bands are kind of few and far between. And at shows, you have to play 4 sets. In bigger cities, you have 4 bands playing their own sets. And at the beginning, this band only did recordings on like a big boombox. And with the second band, we had a 4-track recorder, cassette recorder. And then with the third band, Society Gone Mad, we actually went into the studio and I learned a lot from Brett from Bad Religion on recording. We did our first recording in his studio and that was good. Did a lot of learning. I learned how to mix and master, and then another friend taught me how to do LP covers and printing and stuff like that. And a lot of bands helping other bands, which today it's kind of the same thing, but it's mainly over social media, it seems like.
You live in Los Angeles. Would you say that the city shaped you and your music somehow?
Even though I live in Los Angeles now and have lived here for probably 2/3 of my life, the first third, I would say the more formative years, I grew up in the eastern part of the U.S., not really the coast on the east, but it's called the Midwest, which, if you think about it, it's not very west. It's still pretty eastern part of the country. And Los Angeles shaped me. Maybe I could say Los Angeles polished my growing up from in the Midwest. But I think that's what makes my music a little different, because I have kind of the best of both worlds. I've picked the best from all kinds of different scenes, and I think I have my own kind of style and my own sound. But Los Angeles shaped me, I guess, more when I started getting into punk. The first real punk band I probably heard was the Circle Jerks, Group Sex, and along with Dead Kennedys, In God We Trust. Those are the 2 albums that really got me into punk music. And the other way Los Angeles probably shaped me is they have all these stupid little rules that even when you want to replace your water heater or get your roof repaired or put in a window or anything, replace anything major, they have to approve it and you have to pay them money to fix your own house, which isn't it supposed to be your house? Why should they have any say on what I do to my house? And a lot of little things like that make me angry, and I express them through my music.
Your music is very political and often treats the grievances in our society. So, would you say that it takes a certain kind of anger to do your kind of songs? And what is the reason that you choose punk music? Or is that exactly the reason?
Well, this is a question I commonly get, and I've been grappling with this. Even though, by my guess, only 50 to 70% of my songs probably could be political. I have some fun ones too that have nothing to do with politics, even though people nowadays make everything political. So I guess people could say my stuff's political because they make everything political. So I've been thinking about this lately, and my thought has been that my music is, I guess, in my opinion, anti-political, because I think of politics as the art of controlling people, and my message is basically a message of freedom, to just leave people alone. Everybody should have the freedom to do what they want as long as it's not hurting anybody. Of course, you have always the few amount of people that want everything and cause problems for others. They want to murder and steal, and the reason we have to lock all our doors is because only a few people want to get in. So the few people cause us to even lock our doors, and the few people that usually ruin it for everybody's, which is basis for my song Tyranny of the Few, because I think maybe 10 or 15% of people are the ones that ruin it for everybody. The reason I chose punk is the anger. I'm not a very expressive guy normally and keep things in. I'm pretty calm, but I like to get my aggressions out with the music, so it kind of suited me. I'm a normally calm person, but what really got me into it was our drummer from the first band I was in brought back some Circle Jerks when he made a trip to LA. One of my favorite songs was Red Tape, where they're railing about all the red tape you have to go through to do anything. And the other thing that really annoys me is this lockdown, that I don't see how the government can have power for shutting down any business. I just hear on the news that today the governor is going to allow a number kind of businesses to open. I just cringe, and that's ridiculous. The governor should not have any kind of power, or any mayor or anything, to close any business or any church. I thought we had freedom of religion in the country, but yet you have the government saying, no, you can't go to church, you can't buy this at a store, picking and choosing. Well, this store can open up and this store can't. Who's to say what is essential? Oh, I am the governor and I think this is essential, so I'm going to close it down? That's ridiculous. And I know there's competing freedoms, which is why we do need a government, and I'm not an anarchist. I am a this side of anarchist, which in my opinion means we just need the bare minimum of laws to keep the few people in line that need to be kept in line. And the rest of us should just be left alone.
If you are working on a new song, what comes first? The melody, the lyric? Give us a little insight into how your songs came about.
Well, it's kind of mixed in a way. I usually come up with a few guitar riffs every time I pick up my guitar, and I'll record them and then go back over them to find the ones that are more punk. Some of them are just kind of rocky, and I do that for my other projects. And I'm always coming up with lyrics, and I just try to match up lyrics and whatever music I have to see what will fit, and then I'll pretty much write the music and record it and then match the lyrics. If I need more, I'll add more and kind of piecemeal it together like that. I rarely write the lyrics first and then have music to match it. I more match the lyrics to the music, but there is one song that I know how I'm going to sing it, and I'm having trouble writing the music to it, which I rarely do. So that's kind of a new thing that I'm trying to learn to do.
So, what makes you happy, angry, or sad? Not just related to the music, and I hope it's not too personal to ask.
The thing that makes me happy right now is seeing my grandchildren. Right now it's usually on Skype, but real soon I'll be able to finally take a trip to see them. They had to move far away because Los Angeles is too expensive for everybody. The other things that make me happy are I like to cook and I like to bake. I really like baking. Too bad you didn't get to come over here this summer and teach me how to make the cheesecake. There's always next year. I also like gardening. That makes me really happy, seeing all my plants grow. I grow orchids, cactus, growing some fruits, vegetables, trees, flowering plants. I like growing a lot of things. What makes me angry, I think we've covered. Taking away my freedom is the main thing that makes me angry. And what makes me sad is the state of the world.
Do you think that social media is an asset to the music scene, and how actively do you use it?
Well, social media is just like anything else. It's how you use it. It can be an asset or it can be a detriment. And it's hard to figure that out. Being a one-man band, sometimes I think it takes too much of my time when I should be creating just more music. But if I just keep creating music, nobody will ever hear it and not, promote it and get it out there. So I try to get a good balance between them both. Right now, I'm in the social media mode trying to promote my new EP. Some people tend to use one type of social media and others use a lot. And right now, I'm trying to put a little bit everywhere instead of all of mine in one basket. I guess time will tell to see if I'm doing the right thing, but I'm a little bit on Instagram, a little bit on Twitter, a little bit on Facebook. Twitter and Instagram seem to be working the most for me. Facebook does not seem to have as many people interested in what I'm doing.
And my last question, if it's possible again, what are you planning? A new album or gigs? What comes next? What can we expect?
Well, as I said, I just released my EP in Satany, and I'm always writing new music. I have about 2 songs that I'm working on already, and I just keep writing music. And when I have enough, I'll put out an EP. I'm really not for putting singles out. Maybe I'm too old school. My plan right now it's to do 2 EPs and then get enough for a 3rd EP, but include the previous 2 EPs on a full album. So I kind of get the best of both worlds, get an album out there once in a while and get some EPs out there pretty regularly, so my music is out there regular. And there will be no shows, there'll be no gigs because I am by myself, and I would love to find a few people that like to play my music and like to play the music that I like to write, and we could collaborate and we could go play shows.
Let me say thank you for these really interesting insights, and it was great to talk to you, Dennis. Thank you so much, and all the best for your upcoming project. And yeah, I hope to hear from you soon. And I know our listeners would love to listen to new music. So enjoy your day and be safe.
It was so great talking to you.